Horses used to be considered livestock. And then they pulled the greatest 180 ever, and now we put them in trailers and carry them wherever we're going to go. I learned from my dad to work with my hands, and I learned to appreciate animals from my mom.
It's so frustrating when your body is not doing what you want it to be doing, and there's a health issue where it's like, I'm too young to be dealing with this stuff. And then the journey afterwards, it's like, well, what does this mean for me now?
That wake-up call showed me two things. Number one is how fragile life really is.
Yeah.
But also how strong the human character is. You know, you think of a guy, you think like, oh, he must read like historical fiction or, you know, documentary stuff like that. No, I read romantacy stuff.
Really?
So like
I've
read all of it.
Stop it, Earl. Do you know much about the history of men or women, I don't know, who have worked on horses' feet?
So historically, it's been a male-dominated field.
Okay.
So blacksmithing goes back way, way back. But farriery can be recorded to the early times of like Romans, and they did something called a hippo sandal, which is where they use like a piece of rawhide, and they would actually like tie it up around the fetlock of the horse. And that was like the first known horseshoe.
Okay.
And then as it progressed, they come up with steel. I should say a steel is more like an amalgamation, so they called it like wrought iron.
Okay.
They'd forge horseshoes. They would make their own nails, which at one time looked like giant triangles, and they didn't come out of the hoof. They just like stuck into it.
Oh,
and
just just stabbed in there?
Just stabbed into the white line part of the foot. So it was very crude back in the day. But then moving forward, right around the 12 or 1300s, UK really got involved because horses were part of the commerce of the country. So when commerce isn't moving, patriarchies aren't making any money. Or monarchies aren't making any money. So they come up with an entire like system of teaching and bringing them up through apprentices and things like that. Now, as far as that moves all the way up, you know, to current times. But as far as women in the trade, women only just recently, I'd say the last 20 to 25 years, have really started to infiltrate the farrier industry.
Okay.
When I was in shoeing school in the early 2000s, there was maybe 3 females in a class of 20.
Wow. By
my estimation now, from what I've learned through the American Farriers Association or some of the other associations, it's up to 50% female attendance in shoeing schools.
Whoa.
So women are definitely seeing the attraction to being a farrier.
Okay.
And even getting into blacksmithing.
So farrier and blacksmith is not the same?
Think of it like you can be a blacksmith and a farrier.
Okay.
But a farrier or a blacksmith is not always a farrier.
Okay. So blacksmith is more the metal, like the shoe
Right, the metal working of it.
Okay.
And a farrier is focused more on the horseshoeing aspect of it.
Okay.
So they can kind of go together. You people say, oh, my blacksmith was out. But in the farrier blacksmith world, when you say that to a farrier, they're like, so did you have like a gate mate or something? Or like...
Okay, that makes sense. So you are both?
Yes.
Okay, because you have a forge.
I have an entire forge set up, yes.
That's in your truck at all times?
Well, that's the mobile setup. I actually have an entire blacksmith shop at my house.
Oh.
Yes.
So you just get regular, like, unshaped shoes.
Steel bars. We call it bar stock, yeah.
Bar stock. And then what do you do?
Well, you would heat it up, of course, in a forge. Now, you have propane forges and coke forges.
Coke?
Coke. So coke is like the byproduct of burning coal.
Okay.
So not
Coca-Cola.
No, not Coca-Cola, not the nose candy Coke, but you know.
You get it done real fast.
Yeah, blacksmithing coke, and you could make horseshoes by turning the steel on the anvil using tongs in your one hand and hammer in the other. It's an entire skill in itself.
Yeah.
Next to shoeing horses, making shoes is a whole other skill in itself.
Yeah. So do you make shoes?
I do. I have.
That's wild.
So early on, 1900s, when shoes were first getting made, they were crude, they were horrible, the nail holes sucked. You know, they weren't great horseshoes.
Yeah.
So many farriers made their own shoes to fit their needs. Well, as the machining processes have gotten better and better, now for the price and for the quality of horseshoe you can buy from a store, making handmade shoes is almost more novelty and more of conserving the historical value of it.
Okay.
So making horseshoes for me, when I don't make horseshoes at the horse, I make them at home for fun. I make them for competitions.
Okay.
Farriers actually have competitions.
Yeah. You've gone to quite a few of them, right?
I've gone to some, yes. I've been to a couple national stages and done a lot of state contests.
So is it like literally a stage with a bunch of guys? It's like, and go, and you're like, bing, bing.
Kinda. It's everybody is set up. They have an anvil, a forge, vices, hand tools, and
is there a horse? Like everybody gets one
kinda.
hoof.
So it's kind of like it's very similar to like a rodeo setup where you have like one or two runs, and then you would get like the final go. So most of the contests I go to, we have 3 classes. In those 3 classes, they have a group of shoes or one or shoe or something like that, and we have to build those shoes to match the judge's specimen. The judge will build the shoe that he wants to see, and it's our job to copy it.
Okay.
If we copy it the best to his opinion, obviously you win first place, and you have to qualify to make the live shoeing go where you actually get to shoe a horse and then be judged by the judge.
Whoa. Are these horses just like always at these competitions? Like they just know this
random. Most time the host will get somebody to bring in a random horse. You know, they'll just bring in some horses. And
do you ever have like a kicky horse that's part of the thing?
2 years ago, I had one snatch a nail through my hand.
And you just have to keep going?
Oh, no, I quit.
Yeah, I guess when a nail goes through your hand, you're like,
yeah,
no,
it snatched a nail through my hand, cut my hand pretty good, and I stopped. I got mad, and when I get mad, I got to remove myself from the situation.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do. So what drew you to wanting to do this? Because obviously, you know, women you said there's an attraction to it. Mm-hmm. So what, were you like a little boy and you were like, I'm going to work with horses? Like what was your life
story time
journey? Yeah.
Big time story time. Okay, so I grew up in a construction family. My dad built homes for years, and my mom was a veterinarian technician. She's worked as a vet tech for close to 30 years. She took some time off when she started her family, but she went back to it. But she's always had an affinity for animals. And so I learned from my dad to work with my hands, and I learned to appreciate animals from my mom.
Nice.
Well, working with your family in construction, like sometimes you butt heads, things don't work out. So Dad and I had a fight. I'm 18 years old. I'm like, fine, I'll just go out and get my own job.
Yeah.
And so I took a job at a big ranch in Okeechobee called Likes Brothers.
Okay.
Second largest landowner in Florida or something like that. They're huge, hundreds of thousands of acres. And I worked out there for $6.50 an hour. So we're making 10-hour days, $65 a day.
Whoa.
And they took taxes out on that.
Wow. So, what were you doing?
Ranch hand stuff. I was literally a cowboy. Rode a horse, gathered cows, patched fence, worked the cows, moved them around, sold calves. I was a cowboy, and it was kind of like a dream. I'm like, yeah, Toby Keith, Gene Autry.
That was one of Ryan's dreams as a kid. We found out that he wanted to be a cowboy.
Either that or an Indian.
Either one.
So I wanted to be a cowboy. That was just, I was all about it. But then I was like, man, how do you make a living doing this? $65 a day? Like, this is miserable.
Yeah.
And then this guy comes out there and he's like, oh, I'm going to trim your horse's feet. And I'm like, dude, what? And he was like, yeah, we're going to trim the horse's feet. And so he comes out there and he's like, it's $15 per horse to trim your horse. And this is back in 2002, 2001. Yeah. And he's like, $15, I'll trim your horse for you. Well, it didn't take long for me to figure out after watching this guy work. Like, he trimmed my horse in about 10 or 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. He made $15, and it didn't take long for me to figure out. It's like, wait a minute, hold on.
The math is
yeah, like I'm mathemacating in my head.
Yeah.
So the arithmetic, and I figured, I'm like, wow, he's making almost as much in an hour as what I make all day long.
Yeah.
And he gets to keep all of it.
Yep.
So in my head, I was like, I want to become a farrier.
Nice. Okay.
And then I'm going to go make so much money in a day to where I only have to work 1 day a week. And that is what attracted me. It had nothing to do with, like, you know, seeing a long time future. It was strictly monetary gain.
Okay.
Nobody bothered to tell me that it got way deeper than just making a few dollars.
So deeper, like, meaning wise?
Well, it's not as simple as, you know, just go over there and trim a little bit of hoof off.
Yeah.
As you know, because that's how we met, was through a client. And you would ask me, hey, do you mind checking out my horse? I just trimmed it myself.
Yeah.
And
which is, I'm sure you love to hear that.
Actually, believe it or not, I love it when owners want to know more about it. And it's my job, but at the end of the day, it's also a passion. Mm-hmm. It's turned into a passion, I should say.
That's cool.
So when you come to me and were like, I just want you to check out my trim. If I recall that day, I was like, wow, you actually did a really good job. Like it was clean. It was straightforward. You didn't do too much or too little.
Yeah.
It was just decent, clean trim work.
Yeah. I'll just pat myself on the back there.
Hey, no problem.
Well, I do remember you. So I found out, obviously, over the course of like the last couple of years, the competitions and just your general knowledge. Like every time you'd come out there, it was like I learned something new. And it's way more, like you're saying, it's way more than just like trimming something off and going about your day. There's a geometry to it. Like you had tools you were showing me, like this part has to match this part. And there's a balance to the whole thing. And then there's obviously a lot that is just the horse. And I think perhaps if somebody's watching this and they have a horse and maybe I keep arguing with my farrier about this and that because this and that, or my farrier did this, how much is there a disconnect between what owners think farriers can and cannot do and what's just the horse and what, like, take me through sort of the whole science behind, like what you taught me. You lifted up her foot and you showed me. And then I even asked, can we grow her heel out? Can we do this and that? And you're like, the way she strikes the ground, it's always going to be this part's going to wear and this part's going to wear. And this may or so I learned about Meadow's feet by kind of just seeing the evolution over time and then knowing how I can sort of just keep things trimmed. But I feel like because we board horses and we have a lot of horse owners, there is a disconnect between what somebody is able to do, like what a farrier is able to do and what they're responsible for, and then what is just the horse or what is just like out of your control.
So think of trimming a horse's foot as like live surgery because the entire foot is alive. It's got a blood supply. It's got nerves, tendons and ligaments that all work together harmoniously for that horse's foot to function properly. And so it's my job to know what I can do that can affect the horse negatively or positively. So yes, you can trim a horse too short and it can take a while for them to grow their foot back, or you can be super conservative and trim off less or just keep it nice and round and the horse be fine. In most cases, it's just knowing the anatomy, learning the anatomy. I'm a firm believer that every farrier should go through and learn the anatomy. What are they affecting from the outside in? Now, we don't have x-ray vision, but we can kind of make markers in a foot or guidelines. So you'd mentioned I showed you a gauge. Well, it's called the Fibonacci ratio or the golden means. It's in everything in Mother Nature. So it's that ratio of 1 to 1.666 to infinity or whatever it is. But it's in everything all the way down to like the shape of our credit cards fit into the Fibonacci ratio. It's in, like, you ever go look at a flower and you see that spiral shape to it that's so perfect?
Yeah.
You could actually, that's a mathematical equation. It's in horses' feet. The length of the frog is your 1.66, and then the one that's left over is the remainder of that ratio.
So the edge of the
toe to the apex of the frog is the short side of the Fibonacci ratio, and then from the end of the beginning of the frog to the end of the frog is the long side of that ratio.
Okay.
So it's training your eye to see that and know that, and it's also a texture thing. Seeing the texture of a horse's foot, so you pick up the foot and be like, oh yeah, this horse is way too short because this foot is really waxy or very smooth. But the disconnect for owners is they see the farrier as like the fault guy, like, hey, you can fix this, and it's like, I can't fix that.
Yeah.
There is a disconnect there, and often I've discovered that many farriers are afraid to talk to owners because they're afraid they're going to lose the work. Well, I don't want to upset the owner by saying this, or I need the money to pay my bills and I really need this account to stay on. And at the end of the day, I as the farrier work for the horse, but you as the owner pay the bill.
Exactly.
So
you're trying to do what's best for the horse.
Always try to do what's best for the horse. The horse is the patient. You just happen to pay the bill. Exactly.
So do you feel like, I have my own personal opinions about this, just being on, we both work with horse owners. Do you feel like people, the way that they look at their horses and handle their horses is sometimes like it's a rugged animal, right? Like we have had horses side by side with us, basically doing the job with us, right? And then now, I'm so sorry. Now we have horses as pets, horses as athletes, things like that. They're more of what's the word? Like not not a commodity. What's the thing? A luxury? Like
Luxury, yeah.
you have this animal that is like not everybody can afford to have one. And if you can't afford to have one, sometimes there's just a little too much placed upon the horse that is like fragile, like ooh, if you I've had my horse cut too short before, and that really sucked because I had a bunch of trail rides planned, and I could just see she was very uncomfortable. She was lifting her feet up really weird. She could almost not even put them down. So I understand that. I understand the fear of, especially a expensive sport horse. Like, please don't ruin my horse right now. But do you feel like sometimes there's maybe too much thought and emotion behind what's happened, like your job? Like, how do you deal with the human that's kind of like my baby,
So there's two answers to your question. Number one is there is a huge disconnect between, let me back up. Horses used to be considered livestock. They had a job to do. Their job was to pull a wagon. Their job was to pull a plow. Their job was to get an owner from point A to point B as transportation. And then they pulled the greatest 180 ever, and now we put them in trailers and carry them wherever we're going to go.
Yeah.
And they went from being livestock to a luxury item, i.e. they've become pets.
Yeah.
Now that the horse is a pet, now every person is like, we have to do whatever we can to make sure a horse is happy and content. And while I always advocate, I want your horse to be sound, there are a lot of horses out there that probably wouldn't survive if they had been alive 50 years ago.
Right.
60 years ago. Because some of the conformations that we have would not have been around.
Yeah.
Some of the horses, if they couldn't do their job, wouldn't have stayed.
Yeah.
Farmers would have sent them on, whatever happens. So to answer that question is, we went from having this rugged mindset of like, okay, this horse has a job to do. If he's not doing his job, I'm going to send him off to do something else. To, I have this horse, I must care for his every whim and whimsical need no matter what. And so we have owners who have went from like being, I don't know, I'm going to use the word cold, to if the horse takes a wrong step, they're calling the vet or the farrier.
Yes.
And
so how do you deal with that? Because you're a cowboy. Like you've worked with horses. They've been your thing to like get your job done. But you also have a heart. Like you have Ida Mae, your dog, who's the cutest dog ever, sits in the back of your truck. So like you have that good mixture, So how do you deal with somebody that's like, how do you tell someone like you might be overreacting?
That is one of the hardest things to do. And I do think the big key to that is educating your owners. You had mentioned earlier how I had introduced you to some thoughts and some processes and explained things.
Yeah.
Take the time to do that with all your owners. And if they have a question, answer it with anatomical facts. Don't sit there and say, well, I feel this.
Right.
Point to the anatomical reason why the horse has got the problem and explain it to them. And every once in a while, you'll come across horses that there's nothing you can do anything for. And the horse might have a great spirit. Like they're fun to be around. They maybe greet you when you walk in the barn, but they may have had some type of a pathological issue. And that horse may have to be euthanized. That's probably the hardest thing to do, is to tell an owner, hey, look, I'm sorry. We've done everything we can to help Pookie. But unfortunately, we've exhausted all options.
Ooh.
And
how many times do you think you've had to do that?
I've had to do that twice in the last 2 months.
Really?
Yes.
And did they actually end up putting the horse down? Or
one, yes. The other refused.
Oof.
Yeah.
And are you still working on the one that's alive still?
Yes.
How is that?
We actually have to have the vet come out and nerve block the horse for shoeing.
So it still has shoes?
Still has shoes on.
Ooh, that's hard.
Yeah, it's one of those cases.
How do you do that when you're like, I don't agree with this, but...
That you were talking about something I still have a moral dilemma with. I would almost borderline, this has become a spiritual issue for me.
Yeah, okay.
Because I literally am sitting here in meditation or thought, prayer, whatever you want to call it, and I'm just like, what's the answer?
Yeah.
Because I have a horse who you could see in the horse is like, just like, I'm suffering here.
Yeah.
And then you have an owner who just, they love their animal.
Yeah.
And it's their pet. And I do understand both sides. And here I am in the middle, and I am the it person. I could go one of two ways. I can try to help the horse the best I can and get them by, as long as the owner understands that we're not going to have this horse back to his 5 or 6 year old self.
Exactly.
And on the flip side, I have this owner, and it's like, I just need a little bit more time to deal with it.
Right.
And you're like, I really, like you said, I have a dog. I have a 75-pound basset hound that rides with me, and she has been sick. I've had taken her to the vet and panicked over stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you have that moment where you're like, I just want her better.
Yes.
So it is a very hard thing. I wish I could give you a more concrete answer, but that is a moral dilemma that I struggle with.
Yeah.
But I have to remember every horse and every owner are different.
Yeah.
Some handle it with grace, and they're like, you know what, you're right. My horse has had a good life. It's time for me to let that horse go with dignity. Mm-hmm. And then there's some that they will wait till the horse is laying down, have bed sores on its side, dehydrated, can't eat, can't drink, before they'll finally make that call.
Oh, yeah.
And in most cases, when it's to that point, everybody's the enemy. They hate everybody.
Yes. Yeah, we recently dealt with that where the horse was very much just like, this is the end. Mm-hmm. And that horse was put up on a trailer, went to 2 hours to the actual horse hospital. The story was the trailer shook something loose because this horse was choking, had a blockage, colicking, dehydrate, like all the issues, and was laying down and was like, this is where I'm going to be buried. And we were like, can you get up? And he was like, no. But as the barn owner and horse caretaker, I'm like, if this was my horse, this is the direction I would go. But then there is the owner who obviously it's their horse. They love the horse. So that can be a really difficult thing where the decision is made that was obviously not the decision that Ryan or I would have made.
Exactly.
But then you just have to sort of, okay, now we're going to support this strange, poor decision. And the horse is alive, but he's not well.
Right.
So I'm like, what do you do when the physical being is still up and he's walking around and doing his thing, but you can just tell he's like
hollow-eyed.
Yeah, can I just leave at some point? Or he's like too scared to lay down now because he's like, last time I did, I was traumatized. So working with animals and people can be so tricky sometimes. But what's your favorite part of what you do every day?
Man, I got the dream job. I really do. I have a dream job because I get to work with my hands. I get to work outdoors. Mm-hmm. I get to work with animals. I get to work with people. So I get to do all these things, and I get to work on my time. So first and foremost, I make money being a farrier, but I'm a small business owner.
Yeah.
So I have to think like a small business owner. Every account, every dollar, every purchase, things like that. So I'd have to say my favorite part is running a business and making money doing it. You know, I laugh and I see people that are like, oh yeah, I got to go to work at 8 o'clock. You know, I have a shift at 8 o'clock or something like that. And it's like, haha, I get to sleep in today, or, you know.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, it's like they're happy in their security. For me, I was never happy with that security. I was like, man, I want to do something that I am in love with.
Yeah.
And it really is that saying, if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
So
That's super cool. That's cool that you found it sort of by accident. So like the reward kind of has been something that's been growing for you for probably, I mean, how long have you been doing this?
Over 2 decades.
Okay. And you've had your own business pretty much since
the start.
Old man came to the farm and you were like, that's what I want to do. That's super cool. So I know I call you Earl.
Yes.
Everybody else calls you Try.
Yes.
And I know your last name's Ellerby.
Correct.
So what's the Try?
So I am actually, my whole name is Earl Eugene Ellerby III. I'm the third. Okay. At one point, somebody thought to do two of So my dad's junior, my granddad is senior. And growing up, like my granddad was Earl. My dad, he didn't want to be called Junior, so he adopted a nickname. And then growing up, could you imagine being 10 years old and in elementary school and they're going through the roll sheet and they're like, all right, Samantha, all right, Justin, all right, Michael, all right, Earl.
That's like built-in old man.
Oh, absolutely. Like they automatically assume I'm going to walk in with like glasses and a straw hat and a piece of straw hanging out of my mouth.
Yeah,
Earl. And growing up, I hated it. I really did. But my parents gave me the nickname Try, like a Triceratops, 3, the third kind of thing.
That's super cool.
And it just stuck. And it's been that way ever since. As I got into doing my business, I've actually come to really appreciate that old man name because it's unique.
Yeah.
People remember it. They're like, I haven't heard that name in a long time or whatever it is. And so I've kind of just taken it and accepted it. Don't get me wrong. Would it be really cool to grow up a Justin or something like that? Great. But then there's
the name that was always ringing in your head? Like, oh man, I just wish.
Why can't I have a normal name? But then I look back now and it's like, how many Justins do you know?
Yeah.
How many Michaels do you know?
I feel the same. My name's Rita. And the only other Rita I knew was my mom. And it's, to me, such an old lady's name because it's like almost too sophisticated. Like being a little girl. Actually, so my mom is from Hungary. And so they called me
cool.
Rinsike, which is like my little Rita in Hungarian. And I'm telling you, I wrote a sign on my door and was like, I refuse to respond to Rinsike because I was like going to school finally. I was homeschooled till 5th grade. So when I finally started going to school, my family would say Rinsike. My close friends would call me Rinsikat, which I was fine with that. But then kids at school were like, wait, why do you have a different name? Like, why does your family? And so I just was kind of like, just call me Rita. And I remember it was so hard for them to stop calling me the like cute little nickname. But it is kind of fun to have, you know, you almost have different phases of life and like the name that fits you. You're like, oh, I appreciate that now, especially if it's a family name and you have history there. So being a farrier, that's what you do. That's what you love. So what are some of your hobbies? You brought me some of the most special, amazing pickles.
So I'm going to use a word that I heard from another podcast. Shout out to Chris Gregory for this word, but I like to consider myself a philomath.
Okay. What does that mean?
A philomath is somebody who loves to learn.
Okay. I think Ryan's one of those too.
I love to learn anything and everything, all kinds of new hobbies. Okay. I have got so many hobbies and irons in the fire. It is
literally
ridiculous. So some of my hobbies include like I make my own blacksmithing tools. So fullers and punches for making horseshoes. I make all my own tools.
Whoa.
I also make my own hoof knives for trimming the feet, the soles
Wait,
out.
you do?
Yes.
Can I buy one from you?
I'll give you one, but okay.
I want you to teach me how to use it because they kind of terrify me a little bit, but that's awesome.
Yeah, I know how to make regular knives. Actually, I just taught myself how to do stainless steel so that now I can make knives that don't rust.
Ooh. Do you do like a wood handle and stuff?
All kinds of stuff,
okay.
Yeah. I would show you pictures, but it's kind of like hard to do on here. But yes, Damascus knives. So Damascus is where you weld different layers of colors.
I love the look of a Damascus steel knife.
Knives.
Yeah.
Actually, I got to make one for a wedding gift for a couple next month. I got to get on that.
You're like, remember this?
Everything, yeah, checklist.
Yeah.
And growing up in a construction family, I learned to appreciate carpentry. So I've made furniture and built furniture for our house, our nightstands, our bedroom suite, our TV table, like anything like that. So like I love to learn. I love working with my hands. I like doing just about anything. And if it's a hobby, I can do it. I've taught myself to weld. I've taught myself to garden. Like going back to pre-COVID, you had mentioned the pickles, the canned goods. We were going through COVID, my wife and I, and we were like, we need something to do besides just sit and stare at four walls.
Yeah.
So she's like, I'm going to learn how to homestead. I'm like, sweet. So we started with, let me back up a little bit. I'm a goal-oriented person.
Okay.
Got to have a goal, and to accomplish a goal, you set smaller goals to meet the bigger goal. So I said, well, you need to come up with 5 things that you want to do in this homesteading journey. So she came up with 5 of them. One of them was gardening, canning, candle making.
Oh.
I don't remember what the 4th one was, but the last one was she wanted to raise chickens.
Okay.
So she started through there. We built raised beds and we grew a garden. She got really good at it. She was growing all kinds of stuff. I mean, tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, sweet potatoes, you name it.
Awesome.
It was great. And then she got into the canning aspect of it. And so we started with just simple things, canning tomatoes. So we would go to a farmer's market. We'd buy boxes of tomatoes. We'd blanch them, cut them up, do the pressure cooker and can the tomatoes. And then that led to, well, let's try pickles. And that's been a slow process because there's so many ways to make pickles.
Yep.
There's refrigerator pickles. There's canned pickles. Do you want chunks? Do you want spears? Do you want them spicy, sweet, just all kinds of stuff. So we experimented with that. And then that led into, all right, well, we want to start canning other things and making things. So we started making apple butter. We started doing like corn salsas and different canned things to play with.
Yeah.
Then she tried candles. She did not like candles, but she did it. But candles were messy. And it was just.
Well, you have to do the dipping.
Well, she did it with the jars where you have to suspend the wick and then pour the wax. You got to add the oils for the smells that you want. She goes, it was just messy.
Yeah.
And that is not her style.
Okay.
Which is weird because she did canning, which is also messy.
Yeah.
So she did the candle thing a little while, and that was okay. When I say candles, like she was even melting down her own beef tallow.
What?
Yes. So we would actually go to the butcher and we would get their fat scraps and we would actually cook down the fat scraps and make our own beef tallow to make the candle.
That is insane.
Like homesteading to a T.
Yeah, I was gonna say when the apocalypse happens, we all have a plan to go meet out east, and then everybody's gonna have their jobs. So we have a girl who is from Canada, Czar's owner. Have you met Jacqueline yet?
I have. Yeah,
I want to have her on a podcast. She's wild, but she. One of my favorite quotes from her is she was described to me an injury on a horse. Like, oh yeah, it was on this part. You know, like when you quarter a moose, it was, and I'm like, I've been in Florida my whole life. Like, what are you talking about? She like has churned butter. She's done leather working. Like, that's cool. She just does. She's kind of similar in a way where it's like, if someone can do it, then why can't I? Exactly. So like, she'll just learn those things. So what are some things that? Well, thank you for the pickles, by the way, because. Yes, delicious, amazing. I don't know how you guys found that recipe. I don't know what you did, but it is magic in a can.
Yeah, it's
so
all
delicious.
My wife. She's the magician behind that. I'm just hers and I's relationship. We consider it to like a thoroughbred and a donkey. So
wait, who's the donkey?
That'd be me.
Okay,
I'm the donkey. She's the thoroughbred. So on thoroughbred racetracks, often they'll take a really hybrid, hyped up thoroughbred horse, and they'll pair it with a little donkey buddy. The donkey calms down the thoroughbred, but then the thoroughbred helps keep the donkey moving and like going. So we have this homogenous relationship, this like amalgamation of like I'm the jackass and she's the thoroughbred, and we keep each other.
That's cool.
We keep each other good.
I like that.
It's a good team effort.
Yeah, that's great. So you have these things that you love to do, these hobbies. What are some things that you don't know yet that you really want to learn how to do?
Okay. I really want to learn how to work equipment, like drive a skid steer or like a backhoe or something, you know, where you're pulling all the levers and you're digging holes. There's something so just manly about that. I love it. I want to play around with welding aluminum.
Oh.
So I can forge weld aluminum. Well, I guess it's called brazing aluminum. But I actually want to get like the machine and actually like, I guess you'd call it stacking dimes. And actually,
I don't know what that means.
So whenever you weld aluminum, it'll literally look like a stack of coins laying down there. And it's just so beautiful, and it just hits everything. If you're into that like visually pleasing thing, it hits that note. So I want to learn how to do that.
So you would want to make like an aluminum product, like start to finish.
Yes, yeah. I'd want to build something out of aluminum. You know, in the farrier world, we use a lot of aluminum tools or aluminum like containers and boxes, and like my little shoeing box I have, it's all aluminum, and so that kind of stuff. But it's something that's just visually appealing.
Okay.
Have you ever had that?
Because it's lightweight. And
it's lightweight, and it just whenever you're welding it, it just stays so clean and looks really nice. So have you ever seen anything like that's visually pleasing? Like when you see it, you're like, oh, that scratches an itch in the back of my brain I didn't know I had.
I literally just watched a guy make an epoxy table out of like an old tree trunk, like, you know, like a big, rotten, beautiful thing. And it's just like a 30-minute video of him just cleaning the thing and shaving it down and all this stuff. And then he made this like epoxy mixture, and it was like water. And then he put dried flowers in there, and then he epoxied. And then it was a table that had like the wood and the little, that to me, I'm like, can I please have one of those? And I would love, I mean, you're watching this guy and you're like, his entire life of like experience has brought him to be able to do this. And it looks so like seamless and beautiful. So I'm not looking to go and like start making my own epoxy tables, but maybe doing one would be a super cool experience because like you can make it yourself. So do you get a, like you see something and you're like, that's super cool, how can I make it? Or are you like, okay.
So I am a visual learner. If I see somebody else do it, I'm just like, oh yeah, I can do that. And I go and I do it. And I'm also one of those guys, like I get bored easily. So if I make something and I get to what I think I've mastered it, I'm bored with it. Move on to the next thing. And I just keep on going. Like, I don't know. I played around with making knives for a while, and then I got away from it because I was like, this is no longer fun. Now it's tedious.
Because you're not like learning a new thing. The light bulb's
I'm not getting those little
tinglies
tinglies in the brain anymore. Where it's like, oh, I want to keep doing this.
Yeah. Okay, so you want to do aluminum.
Play with equipment. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, you know, is there anything that people would be surprised that you're interested in?
Actually, this is a really cool point because this was actually a question I was going to ask you.
Oh.
But something that's very mundane, kind of goofy is I like to read.
Okay.
I like to read, and not just anything. Like, you know, you think of a guy, you think like, oh, he must read like historical fiction or, you know, documentaries, stuff like that. No, I read romantacy stuff.
Really?
So like
fantasy?
Fantasy, but more along the lines of romantacy. It's gotten really popular recently. An artist named or an author named Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah.
I've read all of her stuff.
So ACOTAR. A Court of Thorns.
I've read all of it.
Stop it, Earl. You know,
Yes.
Chase has listened to all of those books.
Are
when
you
he's been
kidding?
cleaning the barn. Oh yeah.
I have read all of Sarah J. Maas's stuff.
Wait, so Throne of
Glass.
Okay, I have some
Crescent City,
girls that
all
are
of them.
trying to get me to read them, and
got
I'm
to.
just like,
Throne of Glass will put ACOTAR to shame.
okay, I'm so shocked right now. I did not expect you to say
Okay,
that.
I know it gets better though. I've also read all of Rebecca Yarros' stuff.
Okay.
Which is the I'm having a brain fart and I should know what it is, but anyway, it's the Dragon series. It's Fourth Wing.
Yes. Okay. I read the first one.
I've read all of Fourth Wing, so I know all about the parapet. I know all about not Poppy. No, I don't forget her name. Anyway.
Oh, Violet.
Violet. Yes,
Yeah.
Violence. Yes.
Violence?
Zayden. All of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Violence. What's her dragon's name? I forget.
Taryn.
Yeah, that's a cool concept to me. Is like in Avatar, I always say it like when you ride a horse.
The mind
and you
thing,
feel like
yeah.
you have that connection. I love that they would talk though.
Yeah, and Darna and all of them. Yes, I've read all that.
Okay.
I know it sounds crazy. It's like, oh man, look at this guy who's all into this stuff, and he reads romantasy.
No, that's actually it makes sense because what about Wheel of Time?
I haven't read that one.
Okay, I think somebody was listening to it. I feel like maybe Caleb
Chase
or
is
Chase.
listening to Wheel
Chase
of
is.
Time. Yeah.
So I've watched the show. So I'm very into like visual. So if there is a book that's out there, that's the show that I've watched, like we could probably talk, and you reading the book would probably be like, oh, this is where they got this and this wrong or whatever. Because
Sure.
the books are always that's the epitome of the story. Like if there is a book, you should go read it. But I love the visual stuff. That's like what we do. You know, we make movies and things like that. But there is something about those stories though that will probably forever be popular there's a lot of different types of people that like them. And I feel like now there's something that unlocked about you because you like those. So I think the type of person that likes those stories, are you like very imaginative?
Oh gosh, yeah.
So you could, if you had like as a kid, maybe some, I don't know, little toys or something.
Legos,
like,
Lincoln Logs.
so
like
you could
draw
make up
books.
a full
Yes.
story where they were like, they had names and families and backgrounds and you could
Oh yeah.
get lost in a world.
I wouldn't say lost in a world, but like growing up, I had a cousin, oddly enough, his name was Ryan. So
Nice.
we were very close. And now his mom worked a lot. She was a single mother. So he and I was always home alone. It's just him and I just being kids. So we would take the little Hot Wheels cars and we would build an entire city. And like we'd have a police station and we'd have ambulances and fire trucks. And we had this entire city built outside in the yard or on the driveway with chalk. You know, and that's the kind of stuff we would do. It was, and that kind of moves on to a whole other subject I was going to bring up. But yeah, I would say I'm a pretty imaginative person.
Okay.
I visualize a lot. I can see the goal that I want. And then the fun part comes with getting to that goal.
Yeah. So then in these books, you have a main character. And what's nice about a series of books is the goal almost kind of moves every time. Like there's an overall goal. So like, I made it to book 4 in ACOTAR, and it's the novella, which I'm like, it's not exactly the same.
Frost and Starlight, I think is what it was.
Yeah, I think so.
It's the Christmas one, yeah.
And everyone keeps telling me, like, just move, like, just go to the next, like, get through it, go to the next one.
There's a few small pieces in there that might help add to the story, but overall, it's not. It took me, believe it or not, that book's only like this big.
Yeah.
It took me like a month to read it.
Yeah.
Because I just could not get into it. But then the next book that came out, which was
it was a big
one, I was done with it in like 10 days.
Nice. So when do you read? Are you listening or are you physically reading?
I again, being a tangible person, I have to hold it.
Okay.
I can't listen to it because I want to be able to go back.
Okay.
So I am horrible when I am reading. I do like to read. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'll read through a passage and then I'll be like, wait, what did that say? And I'll have to go back and reread it.
Yes.
And then double check it.
That's kind of how I read too, which is probably why it takes me a while. But it depends on the book. Like sometimes when it's like very compelling, I'll usually try to read before I go to sleep. And then sometimes, even if it's a really exciting thing, it'll like make me, it's almost like watching a movie when I'm tired. And if I really want to watch it, it makes me go into sleep faster than something that's a little boring. Cause then it's like, well, now I'm just going to like see if something excites me. But with those books, so what do you think draws you to, so one of our favorite books that we're almost done with, Ryan's read it a million times, A Land Remembered. That's like,
yes, I read that several times.
It's about Florida and all that stuff.
Yes.
So to me,
Patrick D. Smith, yeah.
Yes.
Patrick D. Smith, yeah.
So to me, that would sound more like the fantasy, but for a man. But
good stuff.
It is so good. And I'm listening to it. I'm like, this is amazing. And I love the Florida. It really makes you, if you live in Florida, it feels like you have this ownership and like, oh yeah, Florida is really cool. And this is how we all like tried to tame the swamp. But for the like fantasy with dragons and like the romance, that whole aspect, what do you think draws you to that element?
So I think the idea of that is because you don't see it, so you have to imagine it. It's not like in The Land Remembered, there's a scene where they're driving cattle across the state and they get swarmed by mosquitoes enough that it kills the cattle. You remember that, Ryan? Oh, yeah. So in that scene, like you could physically imagine as a cowboy, a group of cows getting across there and a black cloud of bugs, and they literally just descend on the cows and suffocate them. But I have a real hard time imagining every aspect of a dragon flying in the sky with a rider. Like, I can see it, but it's like, wait a minute. Is he iridescent? How big are his wings? Does he have scales? What color is he? Yeah. Like, so many things that your imagination just plays with.
So you like the...
Oh, it makes me question so many other things like that.
Right. Yeah. So because you work with your hands and you have like things that you can see from like this form to this form to this, do you feel like that's another feature of your... Because I would say Chase is very similar, where when he goes to a restaurant, he says, surprise me. Like he doesn't really order the same thing. He makes cabinets and works with his hands a lot. He's also a musician. So there's like this interesting kind of swirling, because I wouldn't expect guys to like those books, because usually when you talk to a guy about ACOTAR, it's like, oh yeah, my wife read that or whatever. So why, if there's a guy watching this and he's like, I've heard of the books, not for me, why would a guy, what would they get out of this series?
First and foremost, it's going to help bolster your relationship with your spouse. Because you're going to have something to talk about.
There you
guys
go.
can have some theories and you can go back and forth and you could actually like, not try to convince each other of stuff, but you could actually have a conversation and be like, so what did you think of Nesta or Cassian?
Yes.
Yeah. And you guys can have a conversation about it. Like me personally, like I can't stand Nesta. I think she's a bitch. But some people love her.
She's misunderstood. Yeah.
Okay. But then you have Cassian, he is non-committal.
Yeah.
But yet you have these two people together. Yeah. So the cool part about that is like, that's where the imagination comes in. You get to imagine their dynamic.
Okay. So it's kind of like for people who like to read, you get the books, you get the series. For people who maybe don't like to read, you get like Love Island or those reality TV shows where it's like, who's going to get together and who's going to do this, that. Okay, so you and your wife use this as like, this is your fantasy world that you can both read and then discuss.
We joke around it about all the time. We make all kinds of, that's just something we do. And it's in all the series. But now we've gotten so far into some of these series, like we forget the storylines. I just had a client that's at another barn that I told her about it and got her into reading it. And she read all of Sarah J. Maas's stuff in like less than 3 months.
Wow.
All of it.
Wow.
And like she was even like telling me, I'd come to the barn and she'd be like, I hate you right now. And I'm like, what did I do? She was like, you have ruined reading for me. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, you don't understand. I went from reading stuff like, I don't know, crime thrillers to this stuff. And now nothing matches it.
Yeah.
Nothing is at that level. And I'm like, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when somebody finds something that's exciting like that, that's a great thing. Now, I have heard that a throne of, what is it? Glass something? What's the next one?
So there's Throne of Glass, and now from there, that's a whole series. It's like Empire Storms towards the end. There's a Kingdom of Ash. That series is done. That series follows a girl named Selena, and then later on we find out that she's the heroine of the entire series. That one is complete. But from what I understand, Sarah J. Maas has written 2, maybe 3 more books that are going to be coming out for the ACOTAR series.
Okay, so that one's not done yet.
Right. So the last book of the ACOTAR series runs the gamut with Nesta and Cassian.
Okay.
But there's a whole other series with Azriel and Elaine and all that they're fixing to go into.
Okay.
And then the Crescent City series, which has got Bryce, Quinlan, and I can't remember her guy's name. Anyway, that's going to continue on. Okay. And what's really cool is she's actually made what we call the Moss universe or the Mossverse.
Okay.
They all come together.
They all are. Okay,
they
that's cool.
all come together, which is why you have to read them all
to
understand everything. It's kind of like what is it, the Marvel
Avengers.
The Avengers like multiverse, except for it's romantacy.
Yes. Okay, that's super cool. So I have I'm going to send this to my friends they listen and they read. Okay. They've bought like all these books and read them a million times, and they keep telling me that I need to listen to like the completed series. But they will be so excited to know that the guy that is coming to trim their horse hooves has read ACOTAR.
I have.
They will be so excited.
It is, yeah. But it was really cool because my wife, so she was way ahead of me and stuff in some of the books that she was reading. So when I finally get caught up to her, she would sit on the couch and look at me all starry-eyed and googly-eyed, and she'd be like, where are you at in the book? She'd snatch it from me, and she'd look and be like, okay, you got a good part in like 13 pages. And so I'd read ahead, and then I'd be on the couch, she'd be off in the kitchen, I'd be like, what the hell? And she'd be like, oh, you got there, didn't you?
Yeah. I told you. Oh, that's super fun. Yeah. That's nice. Okay, so reading, that would be the thing that I definitely did not expect you to say that.
Got her.
Is there anything else that people wouldn't expect you to be into or that you've done or anything like that?
So if I was not a farrier, I would have probably been a cook or a chef. I love cooking, barbecuing, just I love entertaining and making cool things for people and something especially get to eat and enjoy it.
Okay. So for sure we need to plan a time for Chase to come out and shadow you at the barn, because you are so like his brother, who actually just won. What is it called, Ryan? It's like a barbecue. It's a barbecue show.
I should know, but I don't.
It's like a big deal. Mm-hmm. And he just like full blown won the thing. But and he has like his own restaurant and all that stuff as well.
Cool.
Ryan's going to look it up for us. But yes, I could totally see you doing that, because there's a personality type that's like, come and let me like make this feast for you and like share this.
I love cooking. Like we just had a Labor Day lunch. We had my wife's family over, and I did a brisket on a smoker, and I started it the night before. It cooked for like 13 hours, and it was so good. That was sounds absolutely astounding.
I bet you all your neighbors were like,
oh yeah. Oh, you wake up in the morning, you walk outside, and you're like, yep.
Yeah, meat for breakfast.
Meat for breakfast.
That's amazing.
It's good stuff.
Barbecue show. Kyle Briner.
Barbecue Brawl.
You ever seen that?
I think I may have seen it like on YouTube Shorts or YouTube videos, but I never really followed it. But now that I know this, I will.
Yeah. So Kyle Briner. I think they called him the Mountain Man or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I'll show you a little.
That's super cool. Ryan's gonna show us a little.
Oh yeah.
In your apron, thank you. So that when the time
so that's Chase's brother there.
You can make sure the chicken's
that's
right.
the brother.
But more
yeah.
Than that, you had an
But I want to hang out with him. He looks cool.
Yeah, he is super cool. Yeah. So that checks out. That makes sense. So I'm going to ask you a wild question. This is something. So I had a podcast that I did a couple episodes, and we exclusively talked about death and like what do we think happens when we die. We sort of touched a little bit on animals and like knowing kind of when to put them down, things like that. Mm-hmm. And even you talking about like almost the spiritual moral struggle between, helping the animal or helping the human, that whole thing. So where is your radar on, because nobody really knows, right? But like, What do you think? What does Earl think happens when we die?
So you have what we're taught. We have doctrine that we're taught. And then you have what you think or what you dream or what's put in your mind when you're subconscious or unconscious. Mm-hmm. I want to tend to believe, and again, I don't know. This is just theory here, and I don't dare try to impose that this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I would like to think that we get our best back, but yet we're expected to do better in that body. Like, I'm covered in tattoos. I imagine when I get somewhere, whether it be heaven or wherever it's going to be, that I'm probably not going to be covered in tattoos, and it's going to be my job to not go and get more tattoos. So
do you think that was like a bad decision?
No.
Okay.
This is part of my story. That's just how it is. But I like every tattoo because they all tell there's a story of why they're here.
Okay.
But I do think like all the bad things that you had done are going to go away, and you're going to get this like fresh start with the understanding that it's to serve somebody else, higher being, God, Lord, whatever you want to say it is. I struggle with my faith a lot.
Yeah.
So there are days where I'm like, is he real?
Yeah.
And then there's situations that happen where I'm like, oh yeah,
Yes.
that man, he knows what a woman, whatever.
Yeah.
That being
yeah.
knows what he's doing, and he's done it to me. She's done it to me countless times.
Yeah.
And I often have to remind myself that I'm just a little speck on a much bigger playing field.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, does it really matter what I think or what happens to me?
It doesn't matter, but I do feel like it gives you I learn a lot about somebody depending on their answer, because the people, I've been surprised sometimes people will say, oh, nothingness, just blackness. And I'm like, what does that do to your everyday life? Because if you think that there is nothing, or if you think, even for you, it's like, oh, I have the opportunity to like start over and do better, then that means you probably are a very reflective person. And so you look at your choices and you probably go, maybe that wasn't the best decision. And are you good at apologizing? Are you good at like...
I've gotten better about it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to... When I was younger, even up until like the last 10 years, I was a very unapologetic person. It cost me a lot of friendships, a lot of accounts, good paying accounts. I have a strained relationship with family and friends. I actually did not even attend my own grandmother's funeral because of stuff like that. So I think that's where a lot of that stems from, is like wow, if I'd have just been a little bit bigger person. It just took me 40 years to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, I would say probably every single human until the day they die is like, man, if I could just have learned that earlier or whatever. I just feel like that's part of the human journey. Well, so we were talking about tattoos a second ago. I see you have a lot of horseshoes on the one arm.
Yes.
Was this over your lifetime getting tattoos, or was there just a moment that you were like, let's get covered?
So the very first tattoo I got was on my arm over here. It was an old tribal tattoo that I had gotten, and it was right after I had a breakup with a girl.
And
the
old breakup tattoo.
The old breakup tattoo. And the reason I did it was, so she was never the one, but at that time in my life, I didn't know any better. And she always said, tattoos are bad, and, they just show that you're a bad person anyway. So I was like, you know what? Fine, I'll go be a bad boy. So I went and got a tattoo.
Boy.
So I did that. And then I didn't realize it then, but I was like, I really like getting a tattoo.
Yeah.
Do you have any tattoos yourself? Nope.
I have freckles. I have nature's tattoos.
You got nature's tattoos. You got the good ones. So.
Yeah.
But there's an endorphin release when you're getting a tattoo, because it's kind of like, it's pain, but it's not pain. There's no explanation for it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I could get used to this. It's probably a bad thing, a little weird.
Okay.
But then I got a second tattoo, and then I shouldn't say I met my wife, because we met back in high school. We've known each other most of our lives.
Okay.
Probably more of our lives now than when we were children. And she was never a big fan of them. But then like a week before I turned 37 years old, I had a health scare, a real big health scare. And then after that, I was like, life's too short, and I like tattoos. So I just started getting tattoos. And most of what I have right now was done in less than 2 years.
Okay. That's cool. Let's talk about, did you have a near-death experience?
I wouldn't say near death, but I had something like, I was never sick growing up. I was a pretty healthy child all the way up through then. But then when I was 36, I started having a lot of issues with like endurance, being able to work long part of the day. I would get really out of breath. And then I was at a barn. This is, like I said, it was like a week before my 37th birthday. And I'm working, and all of a sudden I was like, man, I feel bad. Every time I'd put my head down to go work on the horse, I'd get a throbbing headache. I'd almost get queasy. I was cold sweats. I was pale. I was just like, man, I just don't feel good. It was so bad, I actually had to quit working on the horse. The owner helped me pack up my rig, and I drove home. And I called my wife and said, hey, I'm not feeling good. I'm just going to go home and call it a day. We'll see what happens when you get home. And that was at noontime. She got there about 5 o'clock, and I still did not feel good. I was like, I'm going to go check the mail. And just to walk from the house to my mailbox, which would be about the length of from your house to your barn. So not very long. All those symptoms came right back. And I was like, we need to go to the ER.
Oh, boy.
So I go into the ER.
Yeah.
And I tell them I go into triage. They check up in there. They go in there. They take your blood. They take your height, your weight. They make sure everything's okay. Make sure you don't have a fever. And they take you back out in the waiting room. And they're like...
in the least emergency state ever. They're always
like,
so casual.
Like, I just, we'll come get you when we're ready.
Yeah.
So I called my mom to tell my mom, hey, I'm at the ER. Everything's fine. I'm alive. I've got all my digits. I haven't cut anything off. And she goes, okay. And while I'm talking there, a nurse and 2 doctors run up to me with a wheelchair. They're like, "You need to get in this wheelchair right now."
Oh.
And I'm like, "Okay." And they wheel me back and they put me in a room and he's like, "You're having an active heart attack at 37 years old."
Oh, boy.
I'm like, "Dude, what?" They're like, "Yeah, we have scheduled you tomorrow morning for a heart cath. And we're going to see how bad the blockages are. We're going to put you on some blood thinners to get your blood thinned down, and you're staying the night with us."
Whoa.
So 37 years old, or a week before 37 years
Yeah.
old, I had a heart attack.
Wow.
Sure enough, they had 2 arteries that were blocked. One was 100% blocked, one was 90% blocked.
Ooh.
So at 37, I got a stent, and I had the old roto-rooter tool sitting there to block that all out, and I have a lifetime supply of prescriptions for blood thinners and statins.
Whoa.
So that was kind of the catalyst to the last, 5 years of
Yeah.
how things have escalated in my life, to getting covered in tattoos, getting way more involved in the farrier business, competing way more than I ever competed in my past. It's part of the reason I became more apologetic. I became more of a person who would talk and speak up for not only the horse, but also speak up for people. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Dang. So you feel like that changed your life?
That was definitely one of the bigger pictures there. It's kind of, that'll be the first time I could say that I was like, wow, this is God, like saying, "Hey, I need an about face."
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you and I are the same in that our physical bodies made us put the brakes on and go figure some stuff out. Yeah. So I haven't like publicly posted at this point that we're talking right now, the whole entire story of like what I went through. Mm-hmm. But it was just time and time and time again. It was the most obvious, crazy. I felt like there was just something guiding me to figure out some things that I just kept so like buried subconsciously. And I feel like when our traumas and our like, maybe they're bad habits that become the way that you live, just the choices that you make, things like that. I feel like when they stay buried for so long, there's books, The Body Keeps the Score. There's this whole psychology around how the body will keep these emotions and things like that. And then at some point, I mean, maybe some people live their whole lives and they just have like back pain, neck pain, and, things like that. But truly, if you look at the body will be telling you something that your brain doesn't know yet. And a lot of people will just, oh, well, that means, like for me, okay, I just have like debilitating, I'm a woman, and I guess that's just my curse in life, is that I will literally lose more blood than a blood transfusion every month. And I was just like, that was just, okay, sorry, like that's my body. And then I got very mad at my body because I was like, I'm always stopped every month. I have to stop in my tracks and I have to like recalibrate, and I'm so weak. And then now I'm anemic, and now it's dangerous. And then it got to the point where not only was the blood loss so dangerous, they kept saying critical, like you have to get these, like you can't just ignore this now. You actually have to go and do something about it.
Yeah.
And then my bladder stops working, and it's like, I can't just, and I wished so bad I could just go to sleep and wake up and be like, okay, those were problems of yesterday. Like I don't have to do anything about it.
Yep.
And then as it just got further and further, I mean, Ryan is literally giving me a cath multiple times a day. And it's so frustrating when your body is not doing what you want it to be doing. And there's a health issue where it's like, I'm too young to be dealing with this stuff. And then the journey afterwards, it's like, well, what does this mean for me now? Like if my bladder does not work now, will it ever? And even our surgeon was like, it may not ever work normally again, like even after the surgery and all that. And, I mean, that whole story, it's like I have this mass that's in there just pushing on everything and just wreaking so much havoc. Yeah. And the only option that we had locally was like a full, like cut you open and like, you probably won't have a uterus anymore. And like, whoops, that's all we can do. Like, sorry, it's too big now. And then we go up to Jacksonville and it's like, oh no, I can take this out. Most likely save your uterus, most likely tiny little incisions. You'll be back on your feet. You'll be riding a horse on week 4 or 5. And to me, that was like, okay, this hell of physical symptoms that I've been through that I'm trying to fix. And I like tried to fix everything naturally as much as I could, because I've never had surgery before. I've never had any health issues. I've like never been to the hospital until this last year. And it was like ER visit after ER visit. Just, it was so wild. And when you have an experience like that where the outcome is unknown and the physical, it's like you are stopped in your tracks. It wasn't like, well, in a couple years, maybe you should try to figure this stuff out. It was like for you, they're wheeling out a wheelchair going, get in. Like, you're not going to go back home and think about this.
No,
like,
you don't have a choice.
Now.
It is now, yeah.
Exactly. And so what did you do? So for me, when it was laid out to me where it was like, there is nothing else that you can do without the intervention of like surgery. And I believe, and you said this actually to me the last time that you were there, you're like, there are people that are placed in your path in order to get the outcome that your life path needs, right? Like, so for me, I needed to go down this path and meet all these different people and have all these different things happen to me. And the fibroid and the surgery was a part of it, because truly in my mind, the bigger part of this whole thing was the childhood trauma that I was not dealing with. And I truly think that that was what grew this fibroid, because so many women, like 80% of women, deal with this issue and they don't know why it happens. They don't know how to avoid it. It's such an unknown, but it's so debilitating for women, and they're hopeless. They're like, what am I supposed to do? And so there's a huge link between trauma and like you hold on to this thing. And for me, it was like so much like anger and rage. And it's like, of course that's what's going to happen there. And so for me, it was this journey of discovering who I was. And it's like, did it really take this giant fibroid and my bladder not working and 1,000%? I would absolutely do that again every day, because where I got to now, I believe like guardian angels were watching over me. They were there every step of the way, because I was so scared of this whole thing. And there was a disheartening feeling of like, why did this happen to where I have this job where I love it. It's working with horses. I have an amazing husband, which thank the good Lord for Ryan, because I could not have done any of this without him. He was right there. He was at every single appointment right next to me, which apparently is a big deal. I read forums where women were like, how do I tell my husband, like, how do I explain to them what's really going on with me or how serious this surgery is? And that, like, I was like, what do you mean, how do I explain this to my husband? Like, does he not know? And they were like, make him go to one of your appointments with you. And I'm like, make him go to an appointment? Like, what is that? It was wild. So anyways, I had best case scenario for this horrible thing that happened to me. And so I look at it as like, no, it wasn't even a horrible thing. It was like the best thing that could have happened, because where I am now, I have this, it's like there's a sparkle to life again, where you're just like, good things can still happen.
It makes you appreciate the things that you didn't appreciate before.
Yes.
So it's like, for me, it was like, wow, I could have, like, if I would have ignored those symptoms and didn't go to the hospital, I could have had a massive heart attack where they had to open up my whole chest and do bypasses. But I caught it early enough that I didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
So that wake-up call showed me two things. Number one is how fragile life really is.
Yeah.
But also how strong the human character is and how it can respond to that.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. It's been scary.
Yeah.
It's taught me a lot about myself. It's taught me a lot about my wife and her. What's really ironic is I was explaining to my in-laws this weekend about who you were, because I told them, I was like, I'm going to go on a podcast next week.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, cool. Who's the host and all this stuff? And I was like, well, it's one of my clients. And I explained to her, my mother-in-law, that, Rita's got a really cool story because she's had some health issues recently. And my mother-in-law says, I wish I'd have known about that surgery when I had my fibroid surgery.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, no way. She goes, yeah, I had 3 of them and I had to have an emergency hysterectomy.
Oh, how old was she?
She was in her 40s, I believe.
Oh,
so she was a little older. But
still, that's menopause.
And it was everything. And
Yeah.
even my wife will tell you, she's like, when Mama had that total hysterectomy, she was unbearable.
Yeah.
We would have done anything for any other option.
Yeah.
So you and I had that conversation last week when we were working on the horses.
Yeah.
And I had brought it up, and I've been thinking about this for like the whole weekend.
Yeah.
And I brought up that whole scenario of like people look and blame God and be like, why me?
Yeah.
And then you and I were kind of had that conversation where it's like, okay, God, why me?
Yeah.
Why do I have to be the messenger? Why do I have to be the one? And I think the people who take that why me, and instead of sending it back to God, but actually reflecting it back on themselves, they tend to have a little bit stronger character, and they tend to have a bigger story to tell.
Yeah.
And they tend to have an appreciation for what's going on around them.
Yes, because that's the only thing you can do when bad things are happening is there's always there's a little like keyhole, a little thread or something. And if you are the type of person that looks for the good in or the meaning in it, maybe it's not good. Like maybe you'll never see like, you know, a tragedy as like a good thing, but maybe you'll learn something about yourself, or you'll have somebody that's going through that same tragedy and you go, I actually know what you're going through. Mm-hmm. And you can be there for that person. And so for the character building and all that, how much better is it when you're scared of something, or when reading all these fantasy books? Mm-hmm. How much better is it when the character does something that you're like, ooh, that's like so heroic. That's so cool. Like that's so brave. So for me, because I'm a very storied person, I like to like look at, you know, the hero's journey, and, you know, we're always writing things and we kind of have to get it to where it makes the most sense for like human psychology, because too often regular people make decisions that are like, man, if only I could redo that, or if only I could have seen more of the path. If only I was writing the story going, I know what the ending is, so how do we get there? If you live your life like that, you actually can make decisions that you'll look back on and go, I'm so proud of myself for doing that. It wasn't just a knee-jerk reaction, or somebody told me to do this and I didn't really agree, but I didn't know what else to do. You'll know what to do if you sit and you think and you breathe and you like go to counsel. Like people, Ryan, there's people in my life that I'm like, what do you think I should do? Mm-hmm. And it's always like, you should do what you think you should do. But if you sit back and you go, okay, what do I want people to look at my life and go, that was actually like, that was really cool that you did that. Mm-hmm. Or like, oof, sucks for you. You know, like you can actually tailor how your life goes based on wanting to be the triumphant hero of the story. If you were reading Fourth Wing and you were like, what would she do?
What would Violet do? Yeah. What would Xaden do?
That's why those bracelets, WWJD, do you remember those? What would Jesus do?
Oh, yeah.
Those were so big, not even just in the religious world, but it became like a cultural icon, because when you stop and think, wait, what would my better self, my higher self, my grandma, whoever your heroic person might be,
what would they do?
What would they do? And it really does give you a good moment of perspective. And I think that's where the better decisions are made. Now, that's not saying that in my entire journey, I was sitting there like the hero the whole time. No, there were definitely times where I was like, this sucks. This hurts. Also, I'm scared. Like, what if all of these other things happen? Mm-hmm. Because they kept telling me there's a chance you'll wake up and you, like me, I'm 33. There is a chance that I would have been absolutely no chance of kids and in menopause. And I'm waking up with a giant scar, and I'm waking up like there were so many things where I was like, please go according to plan.
Just go right.
Yeah. And then at a certain point I went, I've done everything that I possibly can. And I felt like I jumped into a river and I just floated and just flowed, and was like, you're good at what you do, surgeon, so just do your thing. And you're good at what you do, just do your thing.
That's a good point. I'd say this to a lot of people that are making big decisions or they have something coming up is it coming easily? So what I mean by that is, let's say you're trying to buy your first house and you're going through the steps to buy this first house, and it's just not coming easily. They're like, well, we need more money down, or you know what, it didn't pass inspection. I really believe that is God's way of saying, not right now.
Yeah.
This isn't yours right now. If it comes easily, it was destined to be that way.
Yeah.
So in your case with your surgery, everything, you said you're floating down a river. It all came easily. Why? Because that was the storyline that you were destined to go down no matter what. Same thing for my heart attack. It's like, I bucked a lot of that stuff. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it was kind of like a ping pong ball, you know, just bouncing back and forth. Like I had to hit these paddles to find my path.
Yeah. And then it made you appreciate your path.
Exactly. You appreciate it just that much more.
Yeah.
So I have leaned into my career. I've leaned in more to my wife. I'm still struggling, but I'm trying to lean harder into my faith.
Yeah.
There's times, like I was telling you, like when my wife and I are like, when we're done, we're like, we need a break.
Yeah, yeah.
Just give me a break. Kind of like
take
the potato.
A moment. Yeah, the potato.
Give me a break.
I told Earl about our potato thing. Yeah.
And we just like, hey, I'm gonna go outside for a walk, or hey, I'm gonna go read my book for a minute and just take a break. Those are the moments when I think God's the loudest.
Yeah.
That's when he's the most outspoken to you, because he lets you reach a point of frustration where it's like, okay, I've let you lean on you. Now it's your turn to lean on me.
Yeah. I think you'd probably really enjoy some of the songs that we wrote actually for Suncoast that we like play. And I think that's so true, because you can't really appreciate something like having faith in something until you had to, like, so for me, growing up as a kid in church, it was always just there. It was baked in. It was like, I believe in something. And then when you grow up and maybe you start to go, do I even believe in this thing? Like, what is even going on? The opportunity to revisit, and then, like, it's almost like a fuel tank, fill your faith back up. You can only really have those when you go through something that is a faith breaker, something that's like, am I alone in this? And then maybe you do feel really, really alone. And then it's the desire. I always say, like, if there's a will, there is a way. And if your will is, like, my will for the outcome of surgery to be excellent was so strong. It was like, this is the only option. And I started to believe it had already happened. I started to live like, this is going to be great. This is going to be perfect. And I think you almost get, like, rewarded when you have that type of optimism, even if your heart's pounding and you're still scared, but it's like, no, I'm going to, like, take that railroad track and just pull it over and be like, this will be okay. I've been finding feathers in my path since I got home from surgery. And it's such an interesting thing, because I heard it's like your spirit guides are out there like, hey, you're on the right path. And I love it.
I call those threads.
Oh, yeah?
I just call it, it's a thread, and you're supposed to follow it. And the reason it's a thread is because it's not meant to be easy to find.
Oh,
it's a thread. It's meant to be challenging. So sometimes it's blatant. So my wife is an occupational therapist. So she works with people who's had, like, injuries to their upper extremity. So think of a physical therapist, but strictly for arms, shoulders, and necks.
Okay.
She has got patient after patient after patient that she can prove those who had a positive mindset and had the will to get better. Let's say stroke patients. She has had stroke patients that's come in there who have said, I understand I've lost the mobility on the right side or left side of my body, but I'm going to do everything in my power to get as much mobility back as I can. And they go through all the exercises, and they go through all the regimens, and they end up with the higher percentage of mobility than that one is just like, woe is me, I can't get through this.
Or
this is
I've
so
had
bad.
A stroke and it's done.
It's done with, I'm over with it, and they do it. And she's told me, she goes, the ones that have that better outlook, that are fighters, I guess you could say, end up with the best results. And I think in your case, even in my case, it's like, that sucked. That was bad, but I'm better than that. And I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep trying harder. So there's definitely something to be said for mindset and steadfastness. You know, like, this is going to get better, and I'm going to do my best to make it better by exhausting everything in my physical being to make it better. And those that want to stand away, a friend of mine coined the term, it's not really that it's been coined, but it's been out there for a while, weak-hearted. Those people that are weak-hearted, like, they're also the same ones who don't have goals. They don't have, like, a dream or an aspiration. That's why I've always said I like to have goals. You know?
You have to have something to look forward to. Otherwise, the vision, literally looking forward, you can't. It's blurry.
That's where the thread comes in. You'd mentioned earlier, talking about, well, God, what do you have for me? And, you know, like, what's the right way to do things? Well, if you have goals, big goals, 1-year goals, 3-year goals, 5-year goals, you can almost see the thread lining up for those. Okay, did I meet all the expectations for that first year goal? And then that thread goes into the next year goal, and that thread goes to the next year goal. And you see people who make goals like, oh, I want to buy a car, but I have no credit and I have no money down. Well, they're just like, well, can't buy a car, I'm done.
Right.
No.
Or the people that are like, a car will come to me.
The car will come to me, but to get started on it, I'm going to save money for a down payment.
You got to do something.
And they start saving a little bit of money. And, you know, when they get a little bit of money saved up, you know, they might go to the dealer or go somewhere to go buy the car, and it might not be the right car. So it's like, okay, well, then what's the next goal? Save up a little bit more money, maybe wait a little bit more time, maybe something like that. But it's that thread keeps going. I'm also a firm believer that threads connect people. I don't care who it is out there in the world. I can have a conversation with them because I can find a thread that connects us. In the horse world, it's easy because it's like, hey, you have a horse. Hey, I'm a farrier. Easy. But even like you walk into a tire store, or you walk into a grocery store, you see somebody maybe in the dairy section, and they're pondering over whether they want skim milk or whole fat. You could find a conversation there and exhaust it. that is the key to everything, is being able to communicate and talk with strangers, talk with people, and just share.
Connect
And share. And that's what's been lost. So I kind of jumped way further in what I wanted to say, but what I was going to talk about I was going to ask you a question. What do you think is something that has become lost on today's generations that we had even 20 years ago? What is a life skill that we no longer see or have?
So something that I've thought a lot about is letter writing. And the reason I would say that is because you actually have to think about what you want to say while you're writing it. And for me, I don't like to have a bunch of scribbles in the letter or whatever. So texting is sort of the latest form of that, but it's like short and it's back and forth.
Yeah, shorthand, yeah.
Yeah, but the idea of I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write, it was a flowing, there was an art to it. It was like writing a song or a poem or something, but it was filling somebody in on something, and then you send it out and it takes a while for a response to come. So it just felt like there was this grander aspect to it. And I think we are so, like, it kind of ties into the communication thing. Like, I believe in sitting with somebody in person. I love that. Like, doing podcasts, Ryan's like, we should start doing some like Zoom ones with people, then you could talk to anybody. And I'm like, I love having a person in here with me though. And I understand that not everybody can, but as far as like writing letters, it's a lost art form because you can reread it. And it's like especially a handwritten letter, there's something tangible. Like you can feel someone's thoughts in that versus a text message is fleeting.
I think
email, things like that.
It spot on. I like that because a letter is not just words on a page. You could see so much about the way a person thinks in their grammar, their handwriting style, if they're cursive or not. I mean, cursive is almost a lost art.
Yeah, I learned it growing up, and I'm like, why did I learn that? Like,
yeah, and now I look back and I've got a client who writes me a check every time, and I actually like go to my wife and be like, her cursive is perfect.
Yeah.
Like, look at this. Like, I admire the handwriting.
Yeah.
And the same thing with like writing letters. When you read somebody who articulates a letter so well, or they write something so cleanly and precisely, their sentences aren't run-on sentences. There's just something so like, there's still hope for humanity kind of thing.
Because it's beautiful. It's an expression that is thoughtful. And I feel like when you can infuse a thoughtfulness into a thing, like Ryan wrote me a letter recently, and it's like framed up on my desk, and it's like,
that's cool.
So cute. And he always says like, it's so hard to write letters because it's like super long story, but I have this little box that's like this dragon, and you open it, it's like a little music box, and like occasionally we'll put a little sticky note in there. That's just like something fun or like a little sketch or something. But I love it so much because it's like it's a little droplet of like a person thinking about you in that moment that you can take and read, even if you don't keep it and you read it and it's like, haha, there was like so much intention behind it. And
it's the time they took to think about you as a person.
Yeah.
It's so easy nowadays on somebody's birthday. Hey, happy birthday, send them a text.
Yes.
You know, my in-laws, they're the most aggravating, cutest people ever because they just bicker and fight and they just back and forth. And they're old school generation where my mother-in-law is literally a homemaker and takes care of everything for my father-in-law. If he ever loses her, he's going to be lost like a fart in a whirlwind. It is bad. But she leaves sticky notes for him everywhere. She puts them on his coffee cup. She puts it on his mirror. She puts it in the cabinet doors, on the refrigerator, everywhere. Just these little sticky notes. You know,
are they like reminders of stuff, or like
just
I love
little
you?
things that say like "love you, old man," or you know.
Oh, that's so cute.
It is. It's really cool. Like you'll go to their house and you're like, I need a snack. You open the kitchen cabinet and it'll have just some little cute little quickly thing.
Adorable. I love that.
Yes. So,
yeah. See, that kind of stuff to me it adds this little extra. It's like a little extra spice of like you-ness. You know, like you as the person can be like shoop, like a little thing in the world. And someone can enjoy it.
When I see stuff like that, my wife does it to me. Like I write things down like in list form, and I'll turn the page and she'll have written a small little note there, you know, telling me how much she appreciates me, and I love it. It's so cool.
Yeah.
And then like my father, he always made it a point growing up that he always sent my sister, who was born on Valentine's Day, and my mom bouquets of flowers.
Yeah.
All the way to this day, even though he's retired and stays at home with them, he'll still take the time to call the florist. to buy the flowers, have them sent to their work. Those are the things that I think are getting lost on today's society, because we're such a like, I need it now society that nobody takes the time to think about that individual person for any more than just like a, hey, I sent you a text.
Yep, exactly. And I love when anytime I hear a birthday, I try and get it into my phone so that it's not like Facebook reminding me. And because that's like, everybody sort of knows everyone's birthday is based on social media.
Yeah.
And I don't use any of that. And so it's, nobody knows it because I'm not like, hey, I put this in my phone. And so I'm the one remembering it.
Right.
But I love when I see someone's birthday pop up on my calendar, because I'll check it. Like every month I'll go through and be like, whose birthday is this month? But there's something about being thoughtful in an age where there is such an overconsumption of thoughtlessness, because it's like, oh, I could just post a thing real fast and blah, blah, blah. Whereas before, like a artist would take years on a painting, or somebody would take, like Mozart would.
Fast-paced society.
Yes.
Everything's just instantaneous. When I first started in the trade as a farrier, we had cell phones, but you had to buy minutes, and it was expensive. Texting wasn't even an option back then. And so I would go home every night, and I would sit down, and I would have to call the client's house, and most of the time it was a landline. You got an answering machine, you'd have to leave a message. Then you'd have to like wait for them to call you back and say, yep, you can come at that time. So that is what has been so lost, the art of communicating that. Like, do you know how many people sound so awkward on an answering machine? Think about that. Like when you get
or leaving a message, because it's like boop, and you're like, this is my one chance to say everything right.
Say it right. And so leaving a message and having that like to talk about that stuff. It's so easy now. Like you call somebody, it gets to their voicemail, and you're like, oh, I'll just text them. So you hang up the phone and you text them.
Yes. Or the people who voice memo people, and you have to sit there and that. I like hearing the voice, especially if it's like something fun. I have a friend that does that sometimes, and the way she talks is hilarious. So I'll keep them just because I'm like, the way she told that story was so funny.
Yeah.
But sometimes it is a little bit annoying when a person's working out their thoughts and they're like, so
oh yeah,
and you're like, you could have just sent a text that said, hey, I'll be there in 5 minutes instead of whatever.
The ums are so bad.
Yeah. But I do think there are certain things that take time, that should take time, that now there's a lot of life that the way that we are now, where things are faster, is actually better. But there are certain areas where it's like they all shouldn't have been clumped together, where it's like faster equals better.
Right.
And
I think
not
the case.
Yeah.
That is not the case.
Yep.
I have a friend of mine, a farrier friend of mine, that I talk to just about every day, working days. Like we'll spend 3 hours on the phone. If you see me with an AirPod in, I'm probably on the phone. It's just the way it is. And I'm always on the phone. But he and I will communicate all day long, just talking and just bickering back and forth about little things. And I got to thinking about it on my way over here. I was like, it was so much easier back in that day, because it's like if I wanted to talk to somebody, I'd pick up the phone, I'd call them, we'd have a conversation. I'd hang the phone up and I'd go about my day. Nowadays, somebody sends you a text. If you don't respond within like 0.3 seconds, all of a sudden they're having an existential crisis thinking you're mad at them or something.
Yes.
It's like, whatever happened to just being like, I'll get to you when I have time to.
When I get to you.
I'll get there I'll get to you when I get to you. And don't be wrong, you're a priority, but I got other priorities too.
Yeah. Yes.
Everybody's so like instantly gratified right now.
Well, I mean, look at what swiping has done.
TikTok,
it's like in 2 seconds.
I have a permanent indentation on my.
Yeah, so do we all. We all have those. Yeah,
from holding the phone.
Yeah, we're watching Friends right now, and it's so interesting. I think it's the 90s, right, Ryan? And they're like, oh, I need to check my messages. So then they like call in, they check their own messages, and then it's like, oh, I've been beeped. I need to go and call somebody.
Yeah, the old beeper. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was, obviously. There are a lot of improvements in a lot of things, but yeah, I miss the old ways that I barely got to live in. But
the writing of the letters and the postcards, things like that. That's
it's
something
like an
that's
old romantic
lost.
thing.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Oh, cool.
Okay, so
that was a fun little conversation.
Yeah, this was really fun. Perfect. So I would say probably after you watch yourself back on this. This is usually what happens with people. They're like, oh, can I come back on and we'll talk about this thing and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know when I'll have this. Probably in the next couple of days, I'll have it cut down and I'll send it to you. But yeah, if you want to come back for a part 2, you just let me know.
If you want to, that'd be fun. I enjoyed this.